holding out. There's a few spots of rain earlier on, but it's going to be another dry race here.
The warm-up lap for the second race of the weekend for the Motorpoint British Supersport Championship and Evo Supersport class after Billy McConnell's race win yesterday in dramatic circumstances from Luke Stapleford and Glenn Irwin. Luke Jones got a 4th place, Jay Dixon a 5th, and Taylor McKenzie on the Taiko Suzuki snatched 6th place. So all these guys with plenty to race for. Alistair Seeley on pole position after setting fastest lap before his mishap. Glenn Irwin running in 6th place actually leads the championship overall after his fortuitous 3rd place yesterday, but he did say before the race that he wasn't really running at quite the pace of the front men. So Irwin on the Gearlink Kawasaki leads the way on 52 points by a single point from race winner Billy McConnell. Luke Jones made it here, of course, running on a shoestring budget. The Herefordshireman on 43 points is 3rd, ahead of Alistair Seeley, 41. Luke Stapleford in 5th on 37, ahead of Alex Oulton on 21. Graham Gowland marooned on 20 alongside Jake Dixon. They've each had a fall, and Gowland's case 2 in this so far in 3 races. Taylor McKenzie is 9th, Callan Cooper 10th. Bjorn Estman, who crashed yesterday, is 11th ahead of American James Rispoli. Sam Hornsey, who was also crashed after his best ever qualifying yesterday, the Shropshireman, is 13th ahead of Luke Hedger. Another man who went out yesterday with technical issues, Sam Coventry, Dan Cooper, Dean Hipwell, Grant Whittaker, Ben Field and David Allingham. Alistair Seeley is on pole position on the Martrain Yamaha, ahead of the triumphs of Smith Racing, that is Graham Gowland and Billy McConnell. Second row of the grid headed by Luke Stapleford on the Profile Racing Triumph, ahead of the Tech Care Profile Triumph of Luke Mossey and the Gearlink Kawasaki of Glenn Irwin. Row 3 headed by Luke Jones from Jake Dixon and Luke Hedger. And row 4, Taylor McKenzie ahead of Callan Cooper and Dean Hipwell. McConnell and the race winner yesterday. Well, Billy, he's very much an Adelaide boy, but I suppose he's been over here enough years, living in Hinckley or thereabouts, for us to call him our own.
He's just bought a house there with his, with the missus.
I wonder what you're going to say then. I was getting worried with Ready to go then. This is the 16-lap Motorpoint British Supersport Championship feature race with Alistair Seeley on pole position. Can the flyweight wee wizard get the Martrain Yamaha into the first turn first? It looks like he can.
Yes, he can.
Talk about power to weight ratio. He takes off like a flying flea. Oh, an aggressive move by Glenn Irwin. Forces his way inside and almost across the line of the Smith's triumph there of Gowland down the hill, and still hangs on to that 2nd place. So he really has ruffled a few feathers in the first 400 yards of this race.
Yeah, it was a great start from Glenn Irwin. He came through really good, really toughed it out the first couple of corners. But Gowland up the inside there at Island Bend, it is fast there. So Graham Gowland getting up the inside of Irwin. And Billy McConnell was the loser off that front row. He dropped back to about 6th or 7th there. So
I think Glenn Irwin ruffled those amicable Northumbrian feathers a bit there. I think that was a real red mist moment from Gowland, thinking, I'll put this lad in his place. He doesn't want Seeley to get away, James. That's the thing, and Seeley mustn't be allowed to escape.
And he hasn't. I mean, Gowland's straight back on him. Is he up the inside here? I think he might be. Yes, he is.
Graham Gowland forces Seeley wide, and Irwin jumps through on his fellow Ulsterman.
Have that. That was...
those boys are near neighbours in Carrickfergus. That wasn't very neighbourly.
No, that wasn't. But it's racing, and that's what they're doing. Graham Gowland, though, you can see his intent. He really is after this one. He's very pumped up. Obviously, 2 no finishes so far this year, 2 no scores. He needs a good points haul, and he is up for this race.
So leading the way then, number 5, Gowland. Look at McConnell trying to make ground. He squeezes inside Luke Jones and through into 5th. And has a moment.
He does, and he has a little bit of a moment, but Billy McConnell will see these guys getting away, so he's done well just to get ahead of Jones. Luke Mossey in front, and here comes Luke Stapleford as well. He goes up the inside of Jones there, so Luke Stapleford on the orange bike there, just making his move too. But back at the front, it's Gowland, Irwin, then Seeley, then Mossey, then McConnell.
Glenn Irwin, I'm really impressed with him on the gear in Kawasaki, because he has somehow, he's found that little bit of extra pace, and he's riding it with enormous vigour here, so running strongly in second place. And remember, he leads the championship by a point, so he's ahead of Billy McConnell.
Sorry, Jack, it looked like Billy had just got through. Yes, he has. So Billy's just got ahead of Luke Mossey as well. Billy's up into fourth. So Billy is also another man on the move. And look at his foot off there. Billy is hungry too. The race winner yesterday. 1 point off the lead in the championship from Glenn Irwin. He wants this.
Over the top of the hill, dropping down now to Hizzies, with Graham Gowland leading the way. Irwin, how did he stop that, James?
That was beautiful. He had that on the move. That was all his experience coming into play, all his off-roading. You could see the bike dancing on the way into the apex there. Lovely riding.
So Glenn Irwin challenging for the lead here in no uncertain fashion. A young man who, of course, raced Ulster motocross and Irish motocross championships for many years as a kid, through until he started short circuit racing in 2007. He looks for the inside line, and he sits Gowland up brilliantly going into Lodge Corner. Now Gowland has got to find some way back past the Kawasaki, because Irwin is well and truly inspired, possibly by finding he leads the championship, and he's decided he's in the mix with these boys as Gowland responds at Old Hall Corner.
Yeah, the fastest man on that lap was the man in fourth spot, Billy McConnell, a 1:38.0, which was 0.8 of a second quicker than the leaders. So fastest lap of the race so far, and just a few tenths off the lap record.
So Gowland leads the way, bike number 5, 69 in second place. They distinct. Oh, and Billy straight away forces away past Seeley.
Oh, he's wide though. He's going to have the line on the inside. Yes, he does. So again, he made that exact move on Seeley yesterday in the spin race. And I tell you what, it takes some doing going into Island Bend. It is so fast. You are so committed. And it's, as James Whittam said in one of the early races, it's scary for both of you.
I think I've got a feeling that McConnell can actually, he's a man who can win races on something called willpower. I think that's what it is. Just forces him on. Yeah. So he's through into third place. Stapleford's trying to go with him and is running fifth.
Yeah, he is. That's good notice that, Jack. Stapleford definitely coming in on these guys, and they're just dropping off Mossey and Jones, who we're looking at there. Then it's Dixon, he's on his own there. Then Hedger, and Miss Bowley bringing out the top 10. Oh, Miss Bowley. Oh my, over the top there, that is like 120 miles an hour. He nearly got it wrong. He had his foot down. The American there riding for Keith Flynn's team, and all action there. That's nervy.
Here's McConnell. McConnell sides his way underneath the Gale in Kawasaki through into second place in pursuit of his teammate. Now we've got the Smiths Triumphs running at the front as Glenn Irwin once again comes under fire from the Martrain Yamaha. That's the bright green Kawasaki. The blue and white Yamaha just behind him is the orange Profile Racing Triumph of Luke Stapleford. They've broken clear now of Mossey versus Jones.
Well, I'll tell you what, McConnell's been busy on that last lap while we were away from him, wasn't he? It's coming through. It's the two, as you say, the two Smiths Triumphs, Gowland and McConnell, both such determined riders. Well, as long as, well, all these boys really, aren't they?
So Gowland did a 1:38.6 on the last lap, McConnell a 1:38.6, so very, very evenly matched. Billy always does that huge line around the Shell Oil's hairpin, and somehow brings it back into play.
They're both just about as fast. It's really what you're comfortable with there. It's a weird line, but yeah, both of those work as we look back again to Mossey and Jones.
And Jones has got through with his cow horn handlebars. The Herefordshire boy, the former 125 GP champion, has got through as we look back at the Martrain Yamaha coming under real fire now, you know, from Luke Stapleford. Stapleford, who's found some real form this year, is now pressing hard in fifth place.
And you can see Billy, I think Billy's building up for a move here. He's trying to get really on the back of Graham Gowland to make a move up into Lodge. So watch him come out of here, and then almost certainly we're going to see him pull to the inside as we come down to this next corner. Gowland goes to block him, but he can't. And here through comes Billy. And you can... Oh, it's tight. Gowland did not want to let him have that easy.
Wow, that was a bit of heart in the mouth for a moment, but thankfully they both got through unscathed. Billy's had a big moment there and ended up falling off previous. Oh, now Alistair Seeley making a move, thinking, I can't let these Triumphs get away. He clips inside Glenn Irwin. Irwin tries to move back alongside his neighbour, and he does.
He does.
Oh.
So
how did he find that? That was a cigarette paper thickness he got through there.
It is, and once again, Billy's made the fastest lap of the race, a 1:38.0. Again, just a couple, there it is, just a couple of tenths clear, but they've just got a bit of breathing space. Half a second up on Irwin and Seeley. Seeley's made that move at Island Bend, the third bike in your picture on the Martrain Yamaha, number 34. He can see them just starting to go, Alistair Seeley, and he's just trying to make that break. Go with them.
James Stapleford going through Shell Oils then. The left leg was off the foot peg. I thought for a moment he was falling off the inside of the bike. Luke Jones is 6th, Mossy 7th, Dixon running 8th, Rispoli 9th, Taylor Mackenzie 10th ahead of Luke Hedger and Callan Cooper. Sam Hornsey has managed to make it up to 13th place after starting way down the grid following a crash yesterday.
I'll tell you though, these Smith's Triumphs are really flying. I mean, it's so lovely to see the Triumphs up front anyway in a British Championship race. Such a famous mark, but these bikes are just so good now. The little triple, torquey, it still revs. You know, it's slightly different from the Kawasaki we're looking at, which is an inline 4. I think there's a Yamaha in front of it, and they are really nice things to ride.
James, this boy Luke Stapleford, and we may not see it here because he's actually going inside. Whoa. Well, look, he actually lifts his outside foot on every turn. Yeah, it's not just, I thought it was just in the Shell Oils, but that's an extraordinary riding style.
Well, you're seeing it a lot in GPs now, with Rabat and Irwin.
I think Irwin was getting back underneath him at that point.
Yeah, you are, as we look back through to Rispoli, there's Mackenzie as well, and here's Luke Hedger, those two having a big dice. Mackenzie will try and square it off, coming out. Will he beat him to the little kink? He might well do. We'll see in a second. No, he doesn't. Not quite, but some good scraps coming all the way down the field.
Bushy Hedger, the reigning Superstock 600cc champion, and now back with the leaders. And once again, the wily Seeley is beginning to press the leaders at this point.
Now, this, I think, could be a quick lap from Seeley because he's closed that gap right up. He could see that intent, and he's pushed about 0.6 of a second between him and Glenn Irwin on the green Kawasaki there in 4th spot. So, Alistair Seeley, number 34, he knows how to win championships. He's a little maestro on these bikes, and he means business. Big crash yesterday, remember, at Druids, and that's hurt his championship. And so he needs some good points here, and he wants to prove a point as well.
So the 34-year-old number 34, Alistair Seeley, is now right on the back wheel of the two Triumphs. This is becoming a three-way battle for supremacy, and Glenn Irwin versus Luke Stapleford, the battle for 4th place, with Irwin currently, well, briefly in charge of that one ahead of Luke Jones and Luke Mossy.
Yeah, but those two I don't think are going to quite go with this. These leading three are just pushing that pace, and they're just starting to drop the guys in 4th and 5th there. So leading three really doing something special. And then as we look back to Hedger, to Rispoli, the American, doing a good job first time at Oulton Park, so he's doing a good job for Keith Flynn's setup. But Luke Hedger's over him, and then you've got that slight gap back to Mackenzie, Hornsey.
This is number 43, Rocket James Rispoli, 22-year-old from Ormond Beach in Florida, who's fighting there with Taylor Mackenzie for that 10th place. Here's number 69, Glenn Irwin, still got Luke Stapleford alongside him. James, you said that riding style is where you just raise the outside foot. Is becoming popular in MotoGP.
Well, I mean, in the Silk class, you're just seeing it so much now, aren't you? People dangling the foot on the way in. You've seen people like Rabat and stuff are practicing having the outside foot, and I think it's a real. It's like any sort of fashion. There's a real fad of it at the moment. Do I think it makes it any quicker? Personally, I don't. If you're comfortable with it, you're comfortable with it, and it's something that the new generations are coming through with. But, you look at Billy McConnell, he's out front, he's doing the job at the moment. You seeing him do it? No. So does it really make a difference? I think it's just what you're comfortable with, but we are seeing it more and more. But frankly, half the time, I think it looks ridiculous.
Well, I've got to say that Stapleford looks blooming exciting when you're watching him swoop through a turn like this with that. I thought, in my simple mind, I thought you had to kind of weight the foot peg, so you needed both feet on.
Well, that's
obviously not.
That's exactly the same thing. I mean, you do need to weight the footrest, so it does depend on whereabouts the turn you put it. But, in mid-turn and 3/4 on the way out, you are weighting the foot pitch, you're getting ready to press the bike in case it slides. Look at Alistair Seeley. He's definitely having a look up into Yep, he's done that nice little move. You can see him lining that one up. So these guys, it's not there. The only guys in the 38s are these three, and they have dropped Irwin and Stapleford. They've got over 2.5 seconds on them now. This is where the winner's going to come from. And this was exactly like it was yesterday, obviously, before we had the mistakes. So,
yeah, let's now just keep it safe, boys. We're just on the half-distance lap, on the 8th lap of 16. This massive Supersport battle.
Billy getting a big slide round Island Bend. That's 120 miles an hour, spinning up the rear as he came out. And at this point as well, half race distance, you know, the tyres are starting to move a bit more. They've still got lots of life left in them, of course, but you know, you are just starting to see that bit of movement now, and they're pressing on. It's a battle.
Heart in mouth time then. McConnell, Gowland, Seeley. We're just approaching half distance in the British Supersport feature race. Glen Irwin 4th, Stapleford 5th, ahead of Jones, Mossey, Dixon, Rispoli, Sam Hornsey, Taylor Mackenzie and Callan Cooper. Hornsey making more progress, has nipped past the Taiko Suzuki into 10th place.
And it's worth saying, you know, the top Evo bikes are Field in 15th, Coventry in 17th and Oulton in 18th. So the top
good ride from little tiny fit 5'2" Ben Field then, who was a refugee from the Ducati Tri-Options Cup last year. Well, certainly McConnell's starting to move around, isn't he? Because, of course, he had to work himself on those tyres very, very hard in the early stages to move through from about 6th place.
Yeah, he did. He did not get a good start. Fastest lap of the race so far, 38.0 to Alistair Seeley. So it's a good lap from him. Just...
Sam Hornsey is through into 10th place. Look, after his big off yesterday, remember, sorry, I beg your pardon, I'm looking at Sam Hornsey, who actually qualified in 6th place yesterday, in best ever, chucked it away on the first lap, and he's come through the pack. There he is on the green bike, running ahead of the white and blue machines, the white and blue machine of Taylor Mackenzie. So 94, Sam Hornsey, now through to 9th place. And there's number 2, Luke Hedger, who's dropped to 14. Yeah, now, he's either got a problem or has had a big moment.
Well,
James.
he had a big problem with the bike yesterday. It was cutting in and out, and in the end, he had to retire. So he had some sort of electrical problem. Whether that's affecting him again now, I don't know. But he's now there is Field, the top Evo bike that we're looking at there. So he's number 14 there in 15th spot. This is the top Evo bike. Doing a good job there. What's his fastest lap of the race so far? 1:40.7. So, you know, 2.5 seconds off roughly the full Supersport spec bikes. They are more like a super stock type bike, and you know, they're built for just a few £1,000s more than that. So, you know, it's going to be the probably the future of the class.
A nice ride for the 23-year-old motorcycle paint sprayer from Birmingham then on the team Field Racing Yamaha. So another Yamaha doing well. We've got Yamaha fighting for the lead in the overall championship. There he is on the bright helmet, number 34, 2nd place, Alistair Seeley, and a Yamaha in 15th overall in the championship points and leading the Evo class.
Now, this is the biggest gap that Billy's had up at the front there. It's half a second, so Billy just starting to just take a few tenths out of this, and you can see this top 3 spreading out. They are just hanging on to, oh, look at that, sliding coming out of Cascades, 3rd gear, gets it spinning up, a little bit of a wheelie coming out. It actually cost him a tenth or 2 to Seeley, but I think the Gowland is just struggling a little to hold on to these. Seeley's straight back on him, so Seeley has not given up on this race, but Gowland looks like he's just losing a fraction now.
I know Billy's granddad and dad were both successful speedway riders, but blooming heck, no need to carry it onto the tarmac, or indeed off the tarmac. But Billy's close to doing that. Yeah,
he's so exciting to watch though, isn't he? You know, he's a guy that rides with his heart. Look at Stapleford's got ahead of Irwin as well. Irwin, the championship leader, of course, in 5th, so he's down to... sorry, Stapleford's got 4th, he's down to 5th.
His championship lead is just melting away as we perceive it now. But you know how genial Glenn is. He won't be too miserable about that. He was thrilled to be leading the championship after yesterday's race. At the front, Billy McConnell, he could become the new championship leader. He's 1 point off the championship lead at the moment. He's leading the race.
Yeah, certainly if it ended like this, he would be. And one of the advantages he's got is he looks very strong in this last part of the circuit. So, yeah, this could see him in good stead in case it is a last lap scrap. But Alistair Seeley on the Martrain Yamaha, number 34 in 2nd, he will not give up. He is always battling.
These are two, you've got to say, they're two frighteningly determined fellas, these. Look at this. Oh, he does sit Billy up, forces his way through. So Alistair Seeley just magics his way through, going through Old Hall Corner. Down the hill now towards Cascades. Billy was looking for an instant response. Couldn't quite get it there. Seeley immaculately covered his line.
Yeah, and Seeley, that was the first 37 of the race, the 137.9, and that is just less than a tenth off the lap record. So, yeah, that's a really good lap from Seeley. And Gowland's still exactly the same gap behind, half a second. Can he do anything? Can he creep back in, or is the race done?
This is, McConnell trying to get that, use the torque of that 675 triple to grab some extra drive out of the turn.
I'll tell you what, Gowland doesn't look like he's done, does he? I think he's taking that back a few tenths there, Jack. What do you reckon?
Well, he set his fastest lap of the race on the previous lap when we saw that fastest lap. The first under 1:38 from Seeley, but Gowland was on a 38.1, and he looks like he's back in the mix a bit. He is back in the mix, definitely. That is no longer half a second. That's a tenth or two, you know. So, look at that on the top of Clay Hill. Up Clay Hill. I've never seen anybody do that. Up the Clay Hill, maximum speed, and he just elbows, levers aside Alistair Seeley. Seeley must have wondered where he'd come from then. I tell you what, that is complete trust as well, because that is 140 miles an hour. It's blind. There is no runoff, and that was a brave place to pass. And there's no love lost between these two. You know, they're perfectly civil with each other, but watching them race out there, you know, they are battling. So Billy McConnell from Adelaide in South Australia surges back to the lead ahead of the Northern Irishman, Alistair Seeley. This is blue and white Triumph versus blue and white Yamaha. Look at that. That is such a brave move. And the nice thing is they both give each other room. You know, they knew what was going on there. So back at the front, we're just seeing it. And look at this round island bend as well. Seeley runs it up the inside of Billy. And once again, they are passing in the places that you don't normally see passing. This is like gloves off. That was a response. Knuckle time. A response in kind. Yeah. So Billy McConnell on the back wheel now of Alistair Seeley. Graham Gowland wondering whether he might pick up the pieces in third place, but at the moment these two are still on two wheels and they're giving it everything. Proper, as you say, bare knuckle fighting, scrapping it out on the 12th of 16 laps. This is British Supersport action at its best. It is. It never fails to disappoint, does it? These guys as well, these do look like the cream of the crop this year, these three. We've got some other, you know, don't get me wrong, Stableford, Irwin, Jones, Mossy, Dixon, also really impressive. But at the moment, these three more experienced old hands are really, these are the guys to beat. Billy McConnell leads in second place. Alistair Seeley at the moment leads. McConnell tries to drive under him into Lodge Corner. Can't quite make it stick. No, he couldn't. He couldn't. And it's let's have a little look at what they do, and they cross the line on this lap. So what have we got? So low to mid 38s. So the pace just it's only we're talking half a second off the lap record. So they're still thereabouts and pressing on. 3 laps to go. Now the big thing for this race, and you've got to think about, and it certainly would be what I'm doing, when are you going to get to the back markers? We cannot see any yet, but back markers, as we've seen in earlier races, they are going to, and we're just hearing the back markers are in shell, so just around this next on the island bend, they're in the next turn sort of coming out, so they going to meet them, because they will make a difference. Billy around the outside. Billy tries to go around the outside of Shell Oils. He catapults himself into Shell Oils, comes out of it, gets enormous drive again on the Triumph, can't quite stick it underneath as they go into Britain's. He's such a racer, and all the while Gowland looks on. He is ready in case anything happens with these guys. There is... Oh, that's good. There's someone who's very sensibly rolling straight on and getting out of the way. No, I think that's a different... I think they've... just made a mistake there, really, but it is... Yeah, they will be out of the way. But no, you're right, Jack. Look at that. I've never seen someone so polite on a racetrack. Certainly politeness isn't what's happening at the top here, as Billy once again looks for that inside line over the top of Clay Hill, and right on his tail now is his teammate Graham Gowland. You'd think that... No, you wouldn't. What, I know what you racers are. You'd think that yesterday would be preying on their mind as they come over the top of Clay Hill, but Whittam's often told me that you don't think about it. You dismiss that from your mind once you're out again racing.
It's one of those curious skills that you have as a racer to immediately forget all that's bad and all that's gone wrong to concentrate on what's good. And here comes Billy up the inside.
And he sits the little Irishman up this time onto the 14th lap of 16.
Now, I think Seeley's got him back again. Yes, he has. And Billy's up the inside again. Look at that. 3 passes in 3 turns. These guys, what a race. And look at Billy using all the curves coming out of there. Is Seeley going to have another look up the inside coming into Island Bend? He is. And he goes through again. Beautifully. Nice, neat move, though. These two are slogging it out. Billy round the outside. He's not going to go around the outside of Seeley there, I can tell you that. It's just part of his line.
He's just trying to drag that extra drive as he comes out of Shell Oils. And Seeley's so neat, even when he's in a fierce scrap like this, so neat and tidy at the front.
Yeah, I said, it's a great job. It's a great job. What a race that we're having. Lap 14 of 16. And it is going all the way to the wire.
2.5 laps to go then, as the Smiths triumphs hound the Martrain Yamaha. Martrain Yamaha, of course, reigning champions from last year when Seeley was just pipped at the end of 2013 in his season on Gearlink Kawasaki. A former champion, of course, in both National Superstock and British Supersport.
Now, this is the critical part of the track for that move on the last lap. You've got to get out of that corner Druidswell to make the pass into here. Billy has a look, but he's not close enough this lap, and that's going to be critical. They're only going to have another 2 attempts at that corner, and that is the best place to pass on the racetrack. Billy will probably have a look up the inside coming into here, because it's worth getting a pass if you can get one, but no. Seeley, clever there, blocks the line slightly, forces into the outside. So Seeley really starting to think. Remember, this is the penultimate lap, and this is going down.
Alistair Seeley leads the way. Billy McConnell second, 15th of 16 laps. Graham Gowland in third. Already across the line, Luke Stapleford is now clear of Glenn Irwin. Luke Jones in 6th ahead of Luke Mossey, Jake Dixon, Sam Hornsey.
Oh, these boys, I'm just so impressed with them. They're just banging out these ultra-fast lap times. They are really knocking it out. At the moment, though, I still think it's between Billy and Alistair. I still think Gowland looks like he's just hanging on. I'm not sure he's got enough to make a pass, but I might be being hard on him there. But he is that 3/4 tenths off, and there's another back marker coming up as well. He's out of the way as well.
Thank goodness for that. Number 134 moves neatly out of the way. It's very kind of him. That's John Dean from Hoyok on the John Dean Racing Suzuki, even. There's the Martrain Yamaha and the Smiths Triumphs. Both go past. Up Clay Hill once again. Billy this time sticking to the right. Well, no, moving left.
But look how much he's just trying to. He knows how important this section is, because he's got to be right on his reel as he comes out of here, over the bump, and this is where you've got to be connected, because if you're not right on the back of them, a move here is impossible. Look at Seeley, forces him to the outside, and there's going to be Billy's going to try and square it off and get that run to the next right-hander after the start-finish straight. And this is what he's going to do. He's going to have a look up the inside, but look how tight Seeley's making him go. And he can't.
Too tight.
Yeah, too tight. But Seeley using his head. This is the last lap. He's forcing him wide. He knows what he's got to do. Again, this is another good opportunity. You come down the hill into Cascades to get a good run out of here. You've got to be disciplined coming out of here. The tyres are starting to go, but we've seen them pass each other. Look at Billy try and force it to the inside already. Seeley again, cutting across the inside, forcing him to the outside. It's very clever riding.
Seeley leads the way. Second place, Billy McConnell forcing every which way. McConnell, who turned 27 on Christmas Eve last year. Oh, it was a huge moment coming out of Shell Oil's hairpin, and that just could cost him. He's got to drag himself back onto the Yamaha's back wheel.
Not a problem for him, I don't think. Did you see it span and it wheelied again? I don't think he's going to try and do anything too much here. Look at Seeley forcing him to the outside again, so he can't get up the inside for this turn. All he's going to do, though, is just try and stick close to him. It's going to come down to the last corner, Jack. It's going to come down to Lodge. All that Billy's got to do is stick on him, as simple as that.
He's driving his way up Clay Hill. He gets that huge drive out of Knickerbrook, but Seeley's wise to it. There is a back marker just ahead of them, who hopefully might... Oh, and Seeley managed to nudge him wide there and get terrific drive out of Druids as they head down towards the final turn.
Billy's going to go for it.
McConnell goes for it. McConnell goes through it. Seeley tries to force him out. McConnell forces the Smiths Racing Triumph through. Skippy McConnell takes victory in a dramatic British Supersport race at Oulton Park ahead of Alistair Seeley and Graham Gowland. A fearful last lap, a fearful last 15 laps. And look at them going nuts.
Well, I
Go
tell you,
on, Billy.
You know he's all heart. He was going to have a go, and it didn't matter what Seeley did. He went for that move. What a move as well. Just on the brakes, the last corner, we knew he was going to go there, and he now leads the championship, and it's a double win for him.
Taylor Mackenzie comes over the crest of the hill, locked together with the young Manxman Callan Cooper, and Mackenzie just takes it by 700ths of a second. Meantime, triumphant wheelie from the triumph of Billy McConnell.
Great ride, Billy. I mean, what a great ride, the top three. McConnell, Seeley, Gowland, they all rode fantastic. It was hard that anyone had to lose, but what a great race.
Luke Stapleford there finished in 4th place. Alistair Seeley there, unable to cling on in the end as Glenn Irwin cruises past him. Irwin finished in 5th place, but Seeley, part of a truly dramatic feature race in the Motorpoint British Supersport Championship.
Yeah, and if you run in top Evo, it was actually Alex Oulton. He did brilliantly to come through in 13th, Coventry 14th, and then Mercer. Excellent stuff from Steve Mercer there as well.
Yes. He
came through to for 16th and the 3rd of the Evos. Here's Billy practicing again. You'd have thought he'd learned his lesson, but no.
he just wants that showing off to end in disaster. Careful,
yeah.
Son, careful. But when you're that elated, James, it must be difficult not to. So against the beautiful background of the lake here at Oulton Park, this is the result. Billy McConnell, the gap doesn't tell the whole story. Billy McConnell, Smith's Triumph, beats Alistair Seeley, Martrain Yamaha in a dramatic showdown just ahead of Graham Gowland on the 2nd Triumph. Luke Stapleford on the Profile Racing Triumph finishes 4th ahead of the Gearlink Kawasaki of Glenn Irwin. Luke Mossey in 6th ahead of Luke Jones, Jake Dixon. Sam Hornsey plunders his way through to 9th place ahead of Taylor Mackenzie. Just behind Mackenzie, Callan Cooper's Yamaha ahead of American James Rispoli's Suzuki. And then Alex Olsen leads home the Evo boys on the Power Projects Racing T3 Racing Triumph. Sam Coventry in 2nd place, the boy in that category, the boy from Portsmouth, 14th overall ahead of Paul Curran in 15th. And the 3rd Evo rider, Steve Mercer, finishes 16th ahead of Phillips, Cooper, Allingham and Daly. Well, we haven't had time to think about the standings, but after 4 of 24 races, it's Billy McConnell on top on 76 points. Glenn Irwin slips, but only just to 2nd place on 63, 2 points ahead of his neighbour in Carrickfergus, Alistair Seeley. Luke Jones' Triumph is on 52 in 4th place, 2 points ahead of Luke Stapleford. Graham Gowland is 6th, now on 36 points, ahead of Jake Dixon on 28. Alex Olsen on 24. Remember, he's on the Evo bike, is level with Taylor Mackenzie, and Callan Cooper is 10th overall on 23. 11th place, Sam Hornsey on his Triumph is on 20 points ahead of James Rispoli's Suzuki on 19. Nice to see a Suzuki in there. Yamaha's Bjorn Estman in 13th place ahead of Sam Coventry and Luke Hedger. And then Luke Mossey, only 10 points on the board after missing the first round, of course, with a shoulder injury, is 16th overall ahead of Dean Hipwell, Dan Cooper, Grant Whitaker and Ben Field.
Wow, what a race that was. I can't wait to hear the riders' version of events.